everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today we will be painting this simple and easy seascape, and I think you will enjoy it and love it. All the materials I will be using for this painting I'll list it down in the description box, but nevertheless I will go over them just a little bit later on. We will start with drawing our sketch, and as this is quite simple sketch, I think we don't need to draw it on another paper and then trace it onto this watercolor paper. You know, I usually do that because I don't want to smudge and ruin my watercolor paper. I just drew the horizon line first, and after that also sketched some distance land, not really mountains, but just some rocks that are on the horizon line, and then a couple of those that are a little bit nearer to us. I also sketched the reflection that will be in the water for them, and that is quite it. That is the entire sketch we need to do, and those are actually just the guidelines to make it easier later on for ourselves to know where to place which object. Also, after finishing, I did want to lighten my horizon line because that part will be a little bit lighter, and I was thinking maybe that horizon line will be visible later on, and for that I'm just using this kneaded artist eraser, which I think is perfect for making your sketch a little bit lighter and also for picking up the excess graphite. And the paints I will be using are Indigo, and the second one is Azure mixed with just a little bit of turquoise blue. And also for the rocks I will be using some neutral black. For the brushes I will be using this larger flat brush, this larger round brush, some smaller round brush, and also detail brush. And of course at the end I will be using this script liner brush, which is I guess the brush that I couldn't do without. And I think those are gonna be all the brushes I will be using. I'm going to pre-wet the entire paper first because I will be painting at the same time the sky and also the water, and use the same colors and basically almost make a reflection of the sky in the water. While wetting, I am actually being careful not to leave any puddles on my paper, so I am going a couple of times over it, picking up the excess water on the parts where some puddles are, and also just making it even at the entire paper. I am starting with the upper part of the sky, and for that I'm using that mix of blues and painting the upper part of the sky a little bit darker, and then going into the horizon line a little bit lighter. And you can also see that I'm leaving the left side of the sky also just a little bit lighter, so I am adding pigment on the right side and just going from the left side, smudging it slightly, you know, making that transition softer, but also leaving that left part of the sky a little bit lighter. When I'm satisfied with that color, I am adding a little bit of indigo in the upper part of the sky because, as I said, I do want that part of the sky to be the darkest, so I am adding a little bit of indigo there. Afterwards, I'm moving on to painting the sea, first starting with that mix of blues and then adding a little bit of indigo, and again I'm leaving the left side lighter with more whites and the right side a little bit darker, adding a little bit more pigment to that part because I do want that part to be a little bit darker. And when finished, I left it to dry completely. And now I will be painting some details. I'll start off with painting my horizon line, and first I'm using that larger round brush to just pre-wet that part beneath the horizon line because I do want it to be wet when I start to paint it. And then also I'm just wetting it downwards into the water because if I would not do that, if I would just pre-wet around the horizon line and dry it would leave that ugly, you know, line from the water, because this paint is quite easy to lift. And you know, when you just draw a line, when you just make a line with water, it will pick up the pigment slightly and leave that line visible. So I did pre-wet the entire part where the sea is, and now with a smaller round brush I'm painting in the horizon line with that lighter blue. And then adding just a little bit of indigo, first with this smaller brush and then later on with this script brush, here and there, mimicking some waves or maybe some movement in the water. And I am painting it with indigo, and then also I will be using that mix of blues to add them also here and there. You know, just watch where you find it to be most soothing to add those lines. Again, as you can see, I am leaving that left side a little bit lighter and the right side a little bit darker, adding a little bit more of those lines on the right side and a little bit less on the left side. When the paint completely dried, I'm moving on to painting my rocks, and for the one that are further away, I will be using indigo, and I'm starting off with a smaller round brush, painting in the rocks, and then just rinsing my brush and smudging it slightly downwards. And that is how I will be painting actually all the rocks and its reflections. So just adding pigment on top on the rock with that darker color, and then just rinsing my brush and smudging it slightly downwards. And if you find it necessary, you can add just a little bit more pigment in your reflection. After that, I'm moving on to painting the rocks that are near to us, and those I am painting with neutral black. I actually added that neutral black to my indigo and got that a little bit darker color. And this little right now tiny dots, those are just little rocks sticking out from the water. Now that the rocks I painted first dried, I did want to make distinction between the rocks and its reflection in the water. So I am using the same color, indigo, and painting in the edge, the lower edge of the rocks touching water, and making that part a little bit darker. It is easier for me to paint in the straight line when I turn around the paper, so I did turn it around. If it's not something you need, well, you can just paint it normal way, not upside down, but it is easier for me, so I am always turning my paper around. Now I'm adding a little bit of reflection to the rocks that are near to us, and I did pre-wet the paper first around those rocks, and now I'm just adding a little bit of pigment there. And after that completely dried, I am using a liner brush to do some lines to, mimicking again that reflection in the water, but also some movement of the water in that part near to the rocks. And for the lines I'm painting around the rocks that I painted darker, I did use again that mix of neutral black and indigo. And for those rocks that are further away that I did paint it lighter, I am using just indigo for those lines. And now I'm just adding a couple of details to the rocks, painting in, I think that's some, container or whatever that is on that rock. And at the end I decided to do a couple of birds in the sky. So for that I'm using this detail brush with the pointy tip. I find it easier for me to paint it like that. I'm starting off with the tip of the brush, painting in the wing, and going further I am pressing it a little bit harder, painting the body of the bird. And I am finishing off this painting with a couple of less details, adding them here and there, a little bit more of the reflection. Then I will also add a little bit more of the movement and interest to the sea. I thought it would look better if I would make that part of the sea nearest to us a little bit darker, so I added a little bit of indigo and again a little bit of that mix of blues. And with that I'll be finishing off this painting and of course this video. Thank you guys a lot for watching, for all your support. I really do appreciate that a lot. If you like this video, please hit the like button, share it, comment, and if you haven't still, please subscribe to my channel. That would really mean a lot to me. And if you want to go even a step further, you can join and just click that join button, listen to what is offered, and decide whether you want to join or not my channel. Again, thank you so much, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye.